Welcome to Logically Emotional, the place to come for the answers to the questions you didn't know you had. Thanks to our sponsors, Happy Hemp Pharmacy, The Massage, and Riverfront Medicine DPC. Logically Emotional starts now.
No, I'm just kidding. Hey guys, welcome back to Logically Emotional, the place where you can come get answers to questions you probably didn't even know that you had, or a place where you can just watch our ridiculousness and laugh and then watch it some more. Yeah, kind of just, if you notice, I'm all by myself. So
you are not alone.
I know, but you're not next to me.
Pay
so
no
it's
attention to the man behind the curtain.
Little weird.
Can we start off the show talking about how much Ethan sucks?
Yes. Okay,
Good
so
God.
I told Ethan, don't forget Wednesday. He's like, no, I got it. Blah, blah, blah. No, Ethan. Ethan's work schedule got changed due to circumstances beyond his control, but still, hey, Ethan, you're killing me.
And here's the thing. I don't push these buttons. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Oh, this is going to be epic.
I'm usually just up there talking.
I know.
And
And I do have to say, this is going to be pretty interesting because you've got a headache today, too.
Oh, I feel like shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, not feel like shit. You just look like shit.
Well, thanks.
Poop. You just look like poop.
It's okay, Clint. It's going to be us, not you.
So other than your migraine, how was your day today?
It was fairly productive. We got some stuff done, getting ready for the business expo, right? Getting ready for that.
Yeah.
And
super excited.
When you're a 5-man crew here at the office, it kind of tends to be a little
Oh, I know.
a little hectic. But it's good. We're getting ready. Things are falling into place. If the coronavirus doesn't screw us from getting our expo supplies, I think we'll be all right.
Okay.
Then again, if the coronavirus does screw us, we're just going to be sitting there
gonna wing
in
it.
an empty booth.
We are going to wing it.
Fine either way.
Yeah.
Who cares?
We got this. We're creative,
Sure.
outgoing, personable. Yeah.
Whatever.
I know. So, usually I try to have a topic of what we're going to talk about so people kind of know what we're going into. But the gentleman that I have in here today actually has a lot of stuff. So, yeah, I'm probably not going to know what our exact topic is until we're done talking. But definitely has to do with helping to promote people in your own field. Things don't have to be a competition, right?
That's so true.
If we all worked together, we would probably grow a lot quicker. We would help each other. So with that said, sorry,
how frazzled you are right now. It's so.
Well, I was trying to read this, but I don't have my glasses on, so I'm like, wait a minute, okay.
Is that what it is?
That's what happens when you get old, and you're like, well, shit, I can't read that. Maybe if I do this. Okay, right there. I got it.
Good Lord.
This is awesome.
This is what you have to look forward to.
Say hi to Clint Powell, everybody. There he is.
So we've got Clint Powell here with us. And Clint, actually, you've got 2 podcasts that you do, correct?
I do.
Or a podcast and then a offshoot podcast, and then you co-host 2 other ones, if I'm correct.
After I sent that to you the other day, I told you this. I sent you said, hey, send me a short bio.
Right.
And I sent you, I said, can bullet points work? And I sent it to you, and then I sent you an apology.
Right.
I was like, that's way too much crap for somebody to have you filter through and go, I don't know what the hell that guy does.
Feel free to pick what you want.
I do. I have a couple of podcasts that are my own. I do During the Break podcast, which is my personal, and I started it because I hosted radio shows for a while, and I realized that most of the good conversations happened during the break.
Right.
And so I said, let's start a podcast. And then I have one, the Single Life podcast, me and a friend of mine named Coralie, and she's over 30, and I'm also over 30. Thank you.
See, I need to be on that podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to just listen to
How
that
to do
podcast
the single life
for
the
a while.
wrong way.
Well, here's what me and her have come to this agreement. And you okay? Your headphones are a little loud.
No, I can only hear out of one. But
You
that's
lost the
fine.
channel?
That's okay. I can
And I
still
can't
hear.
fix it.
I can do like
It's
I
like
can
going up the W when your ears pop. You're like,
just
anyway.
pull one off and do like that. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
No. So we do it, and me and Coralie both say on that podcast that it is it's our we date vicariously through the podcast. So we talk a lot about it, and me and her laugh and have a good time. It's almost like we date on the podcast, and that way because we don't neither one of us go out on dates,
right.
none of us, and we go there and we have fun, and everybody's like, so do you talk about your personal experiences? Yeah, I'm 52. I've got all kinds of experiences. Y'all don't know if it happened last week
Right.
or in 1988 when I was on my game. So this one time when I had my MC Hammer pants on, it was
good
really
Lord.
good. So I do that podcast. Then I host one with a guy named Dawson Wheeler, and it's called Dayfire Podcast. He is the gentleman that used to own Rock Creek Outfitters.
Right.
Okay.
And that's the one where we have I've gotten a few guests on, but he's 90% of the guest on that one and in his expertise. So he brings in people who have done just incredibly adventurous, crazy things around the world, from paddling, hiking, camping, biking, whatever it is. And then we have a few people like me on that are weekend warriors, outdoor warriors, and we talk to them. But that one's going through the roof. And then then I have some radio shows. I do Marketing Mix Radio with Rich Mazingo from the Chattanooga Lookouts.
Right.
That one's about 6 years old.
Now, tell me about that one, because I don't listen to the radio. I know, don't kill me, Sting.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm like, you get into my car and it's podcasts about sales or marketing or, massage therapy and how to work on these muscle things. So because I'm in the car so much, it's like, well, I might as well learn stuff while I'm driving. But tell me about the radio show, because
you can
it
listen
sounds
to
interesting.
it. You can listen to it like a podcast, because we have past episodes at marketingmixradio.com. That's called promotions. We also have a podcast. It's called Marketing Mix Radio Download, and you can get that on iTunes.
Okay.
And so it started, like I said, around 7 years ago. I own it with me and my buddy Sean Whitfield, owns Whitfield Media and Whitfield Oil. He and I started it because I came to him. There was not a radio show just about marketing and business.
Right.
And that incorporated all the different things that goes into a business owner's world. Because I've been a small business owner, and you wear a bunch of hats.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, you're the janitor, you're the CPA. I'm inventory. Oh, and I got to do marketing, by the way. I got to hire people.
Right.
And I was at the time. I'm a big magazine consumer.
Really?
Love magazines. Yeah, I love magazines. I love thumbing through magazines. It's good for my ADHD brain. So I wanted to put a radio show together that was kind of like marketing magazine on the radio. So we started it, and it's gone great. I mean, we get some great business owners, community leaders, and we talk about best practice stuff. It's okay. You can answer that. Feel free. It's not that important. Go for it.
No,
answer it.
Slacker. There we go.
Well, so we just talk about things with guests, and each guest. The thing I like about it the most is you can come up with a common problem. In other words, what's the biggest struggle of starting a new business? It's a very broad topic, right?
Yeah.
Well, but I can talk to 10 business owners, and they can have 10 unique answers.
Right.
Or even if they're the same answer, it's a unique way to approach the problem. And so as I've aged, I've learned it's harder to stay motivated to learn. Sometimes your brain gets all, like the Tin Man.
Oh,
You get very, this is the way I've always done it.
Right.
This is who I am. Quit trying to change me.
Yep.
But if you have conversations with people all the time, it's almost impossible not to learn, to grow, and to challenge your thoughts.
Yeah.
That's
If
what I
you
like.
want to, though. Like, have you run across any people who are just like, business owners, but I'm not changing?
You
like,
kidding me?
This is the way I've done it. Or even sales, right?
All the time.
Because I'm noticing that when I go out networking and I'm talking to people, like, you've got your old school sales.
Yeah.
And then you've got the people now who are actually trying to figure stuff out. So instead of saying, well, hey, my name is so-and-so and I work with ABC Cleaners and here's my card and this is what we do and these are our pricing for da-da-da-da-da. Like, and it was, how many business cards can you collect by the end of the night, and then annoy the crud out of them by trying to set up a meeting. We have a different generation that we're selling to, that we're talking to, and they're more of the relationship building and, let's sit down and have a cup of coffee and talk about, nightfall or whatever's going on.
I mean, not only that, but you've also got, we're living in a different
Right, but that's
in
what
a
I mean,
different
like-
world, and business owners are scared to jump into the digital age because they're so comfortable with what has worked before.
I think in my world, or the way I see it, two things. One, I want to address the habits part or the tradition, breaking out of that. But I also think what you just said, sometimes us folks, as we age, we kind of think it's all changed. So I'm nervous to jump into, like you said, the digital age, when really the basic principles of advertising are exactly the same.
Right.
Doesn't matter if you're using it on Google or if you're using it on a billboard in 1978. There's things you can control. Who am I talking to? What am I saying? How often am I going to talk to them? And what are expectations?
Right.
That's it. And it doesn't matter. Now, that the how may change. Same thing with networking. If you start talking to business owners on how they got successful, right, and they started in the 70s or 80s, well, what happens is you'll start talking and be, man, it's who you know. It's the exact same thing now. It's just digital has kind of put that on steroids.
Right.
And you have to be a little more careful that you don't waste too much time and you're doing it correctly. But I just think sometimes as we age, we tend to think things have changed a lot. And that's true. The methods may have changed,
right,
but the basic principles behind it haven't. And you asked me the question, have I seen people that are just reluctant to change?
Right. Like
everybody.
I am not doing Facebook ads or whatever. I am going to stick with, the Times Free Press, and I'm getting a billboard. How do you talk to people like that who maybe just aren't, like, they're afraid, they're uncomfortable, that it's not in their comfort zone? They're like, okay, this is how we've always done it. And how do you deal with talking to people like that? And at what point do you say, you know what, man, I got you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, do your thing.
Well, that's to be honest with you, that's kind of often. As I've gotten older, I've tended to wean myself off of people like that, because once you sit down with them and kind of said, okay, you've brought me in because I have this expertise, this is what I suggest. Of course, there'll be pushback and give and take and edit, and but at some point, if it's not good for them, it's not good for them. Let them keep doing it. What I have found, most of the people that give you the pushback of, I've never done it that way and it didn't work, most of the time I look at their history, and they have a history of going through either a bunch of ad agencies or a bunch of reps, or they've tried radio the wrong 3 times, and they'll tell you, well, radio doesn't work. Well, you never did it right because you never listened.
Right.
And so there's a lot of people out there, the way I deal with them is listening really helps a bunch. Disarming by agreeing really helps a bunch. Explain to them, I get that you're hesitant, but at the end of it, when it's all said and done, there are people who you just got to walk off from.
Right.
Most of the time, I've found that business owners really respect people who push back, who just say to them, at least in my world, I deal with a lot of type A personalities, and the best relationships I have are the ones that say, well, I'm just not going to do it, and say, I've had this said to me, and it's my money.
Right.
Well, and I've said to them, well, you're wasting your money paying me then.
Right.
I'm sitting here because you've spent money for 20 years, and it hadn't worked like you thought it would. So why am I sitting here?
Right.
It's your money. And so if you're going to pay me good money to come do it, at least give me enough rope to hang myself. Trust me enough to walk off, or don't hire me. And when you say that to a business owner, a lot of times, especially successful ones, they'll kind of give up a little bit and go, oh, wow.
Right.
Okay. Well, go for it.
Right.
And then you get a chance to prove yourself.
Gotcha. Okay. And then, but sometimes it also comes down to, and I know that a lot of people in sales are just like, got to hit the numbers, got to bring the accounts in, doesn't matter. But sometimes a potential client actually isn't a good fit for you, right? And you do have to say, hey, you know what? It's been great meeting you, but I don't think that we're a good fit. Let me recommend you to somebody else.
It'll make your life so much more peaceful. It'll actually, it also, sometimes when you do that, that client will circle back around and come back and actually be a better client.
Right.
Because you set expectations. And I have found too, when you're talking with a lot of business owners that may be, movers and shakers and those type A's, they've been sold the wrong way, whether it's marketing, advertising, widgets,
Right.
and you guys have seen this. They've been
sure.
sold things the wrong way so many times that you're just another salesperson to them. So, hey, I've got this great package, or let me tell you about me. And there's no listening. There's no asking questions. And so the business owner's seen you. I've seen
A million times.
I've seen
Right.
Yeah, I've seen you 20 times now. I can.
Yeah.
I smell your Axe body spray. I see the clip-on tie. I get it, dude. I saw you do the. My breath smells good. I
Right.
know who you are. I don't need another one of you. I need somebody that's going to tell me that's a horrible idea.
All right.
Stop.
So let me ask you this: how do you get in front of somebody without being that salesperson? Like without. I don't like to be sold.
Right.
And I know when somebody's selling me, and I'm just like, "Psh, I got to color my hair that day. This shit's not happening. If I wanted this, I would reach out to you."
You're wrong. You wouldn't have reached out to me. I'm a salesperson.
But how do you? But how are you
liar.
going to approach me? Because, like, I don't like getting the phone calls from Yelp telling me about my business page.
I saw you look in the
or
camera.
Google. Like, don't call me. I'm doing fine. Don't upsell me. If I want something, I'll reach out to you. But quite frankly, whatever you're offering me, I can't afford right now, so I'm not going to talk to you.
Right.
I could work on your SEO optimization, though. I mean, never mind. We'll talk about that later.
Oh yeah, we
Shit.
definitely.
I can help with
need
your
to talk about that.
content. Your content really.
So I was looking. Yeah. Anyway, so how do you approach? I mean, I know how I approach people without
Right.
trying to sell stuff, but
There's so many different ways now. It depends. So there's the traditional cold call, which I think is not dead, but I think how we cold call has evolved.
Right.
I don't think has to be as a cold as it used to be. But a lot of times I hate to say it's persistence. So if we stick in the cold call world, I used to do this all the time. And it works pretty good. But if I were to come in your office and say, hey, I'm looking for the decision maker, and I fit okay, you're a cold call. Yeah, you're going to tell
Right.
the person you talk to, his name's Sally. And Sally's not here today.
right.
There is no Sally.
Exactly.
That's-
Yes.
Well, here's what I used to do. I used to tell people this all the time. Listen, my name's Clint Powell. I work for ABC Widget Company. I need to talk to them because I think I can save them money. And that sounds traditional. I get it. You can edit that as you want to, that sentence. But then I do this. Tomorrow, I'm going to call at 4:30 and see if I can catch Sally, if that's the best time. I've gone through my little...
Right.
And at 4:30 the next day, I call at 4:30, and if they're not there, pray you get the answer machine. I love voicemails.
Right.
Because then on the voicemail, what I get to say is, oh, hey, Sting, man, I missed you today. I stopped by yesterday. Told you I was going to call at 4:30. I'm going to give you a call back tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Right.
Hope I catch you then. If not, call me between time. I'm going to call you back tomorrow at 11. So whoever I'm calling is going to go, I either need to give him a real answer.
Right.
Or this guy does what he says he's going to do. And at least I'm establishing some credibility and trust.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Listen, if I'm looking down at my watch the second or third time and it's 4:30 and I see your name pop up,
Right.
I go, well, I'll be damned. That's that guy again. Let me just tell him I'm not going to meet him. It's okay.
Right.
But then I've got emails and I got text messages and I got cards and I can drop bys. But I think getting in front of people, there's no real tricks. It's persistence and it's treating people like you want to be treated. You said something a minute ago that you hate to be sold.
I did.
I've found that salespeople are usually the easiest to sell. And the reason is, at least from my perspective, is if you called me and said, hey, can I get some time to tell you my story?
Right.
I think I can help your business. That little sentence, I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker, and here's why. And I'll tell you up front, Rebecca, I can't afford your product, but I will be more than happy to let you practice on me.
Right.
And I've said it 1,000 times. And then more than likely, what happens, you get in front of me and go, well, I really could use a back massager. I think damn it, how'd I spend $130 with her? What the heck?
Okay. So yes, I did say I had to be sold, but the amount of networking that I do in Chattanooga, when anybody asks me sit down and have a cup of coffee, I say yes.
That's what I'm saying.
I
Yes.
do. I mean, I know
Yes.
you're going to pitch me something, but
Right.
here's the thing. I might not be able to use it. And I do tell them up front also, like, this probably isn't a good fit for me right now, but let's sit down, let's hear about it. And maybe I know somebody I can refer to you.
And not everybody needs your product right then
Right.
or your service.
No.
So I think having those conversations is beneficial.
Yeah. I think I'm more, like, I don't mind the face-to-face. Pitch me.
Yeah.
Go for it. But it's the constant phone calls. like, hey, this is Carlos blah 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 from Yelp. Call me. Let's chat.
But see, those aren't
Honey,
based off.
we're not friends. Don't talk to me like that. Yeah.
Those aren't relationship calls that we have to do.
Right.
You said it a minute ago about networking, and I learned this a long time ago. I was in one of the first original networking groups here. I'm not going to mention names, but it was in the late 80s, and I owned a small commercial cleaning company. So I went to this group, and it was great. It met at the Shoney's in East Ridge. Yes, there used to be this thing called Shoney's. It actually had a big boy outside of it like this.
Oh my God.
Holding the hamburger.
I remember that.
Well-
and I'm from New Jersey.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We talked about them when you were on the thing.
But I used to visit my grandparents in like North Carolina, and that was like our big thing. Like the whole family got to go out to Shoney's.
They still had the best breakfast bars. Golly,
yeah.
they were good. But anyway, so what happened is that whole network thing, they became a place to collect, like you said, business cards.
Right.
And I started getting grief. Hey, have you brought your business cards in this week? I'm like, no, I'm working. And I thought it was based off referrals. So referrals are way different than business cards.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
I checked out of that point, and I've been active in a lot of groups since then. But I did notice, and it's been about 2 or 3 years ago, the relationship side of networking started coming back, and that's what I like. I mean, I know I like you two guys, and gal and guy. Sorry, politically incorrect.
That's okay.
Man, she can drink beer with the best of them.
I'm gonna get. I know. I'm gonna get canceled or whatever happens nowadays when you use the wrong thing.
Yeah, we're really not usually politically correct here, unless we get called out on it, like in episode 2.
Yeah.
Pretty sure Sting got called out on a couple things, but that was a learning experience.
But it's okay to be politically incorrect, though. I mean, that's what
It
we're
is
supposed
okay.
to do.
Why is everybody
prefer it.
so damn soft now?
I don't understand. I don't understand the point of where we got to the point now to where your words offend me so bad I have to actually stop not only you from saying it, everybody.
Yes.
I don't want to encounter any conflict or anything that's going to make me feel uncomfortable. It drives me insane.
Absolutely.
Did you really just say that to me? I'm going to get my buddies together. We're going to have another movement.
Yeah.
Who cares?
You now, sir,
Go
are a
ahead.
hashtag. What?
Exactly.
You're hashtagging an old dude? Yeah, I don't know. Kiss my ass. I don't know what hashtags even are. That's a number sign. We're playing tic-tac-toe, you
Thank
weirdo.
you. Thank you.
I say
It's
this.
like the pound sign.
I just
hashtag.
I don't understand it.
Whatever.
But anyway.
Yeah, but you and I are older than usually half the people in this room, so
That's one
like
and a half
I'm
people.
actually old enough to be all of their moms. Thank God I'm not. I would have beat their asses when they were younger.
Oh, you're a
but-
liar.
They would have grown up so much better, I'm sure.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
But
that's
listen, I told my daughter the other night, I said, she freaks out because I'll ask her, she'll be on her phone, and I'll say, hey, who are you on the phone with? And she'll be like, she'll whisper, and I go, who? I said, no, you don't understand. I was raised, because I had a younger sister. I was literally raised to answer the phone like this, like because I heard my dad do it. Yeah, the Powell resonance. Yeah, Lori, okay, who can I ask who's calling? Lori, it's Sting on the phone, and you're not going to talk to him, but it's Sting on the phone. And then my dad, 15 or 20 minutes later, like, Lori, you've been on the phone long enough, it's time to get off.
Right.
And Katie was like, what? I'm like, yeah, that's how it worked.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
When people
in the
had
day.
manners and
Well, and we just didn't spend all our time on these things right here.
Oh, I know.
okay, but as much as parents complain, right, about their kids on this stuff, this is actually okay. So you remember when we were in school and the math teacher said, "You're not always going to have a calculator with you."
Oh, but now we do.
Yeah, we do. We do. So the school system is
Arthosaurus.
yes, everything that you need. Any answer you have, hey Siri, hey Bixby, hey Alexa, whatever, it's right here. And this generation, the younger generation, is going, they're prepared. I'm not quite
I'm
sure
gonna
why
be-
you're making faces at
I'm
me.
gonna be honest with you.
No, I wasn't.
I'm gonna be honest though. So I'm sitting here in between. So
You are.
I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking at the camera right now. So I'm sitting here, and Rebecca's on this side, and Sting is on this side, and every now and then I get the volley, the tennis match of them eyeballing each other, and I keep thinking, is he looking at me like this sucks?
I know.
Wrap it up.
Here's
dude.
the thing. This is intern Ethan. There's a rule on his internship, and that is he's never allowed on camera. We will never show Ethan's
Ever.
face on camera.
Okay.
It's a thing.
And so it's just really awkward being over here because Everybody's like,
well, because usually I can kick you under the table or elbow you.
and we have this green screen back here, so I could totally have put a camera on me. But at the same time, we don't have lighting or everything because this is just intern Ethan's dark pit.
I just know every now and then I'll be looking at Rebecca and she goes, and I'm going, well, then if you're in a sales rep, you just tell them you're going to call tomorrow.
Well, here's the
Should
other
I just leave?
Yeah. So
just
Sting
leave?
usually
Not
writes
at all.
down the time for me because I don't know when we start. I don't pay attention. I get too nervous because this is not my ballywick, but I'm having fun doing it anyway.
It's not your, excuse me?
Ballywick.
There you
It's
go.
not in my wheelhouse.
One of those Joycey times.
It's not a Jersey term.
I don't know.
And we don't say Joycey.
Joycey.
Anyway.
According to the TV shows you do.
Well,
The movies I've watched, you
Yeah,
said
I've heard your shore is amazing.
Yeah, jerseys. See what he did?
This time of year. Yeah.
nice one.
Thank you. I do what I can.
Yeah, I know why.
He's here all night, ladies and gentlemen.
Try the bill.
Thank God we can't.
Well, let me
see
ask you
today.
this, because
Yeah.
I know I sent you, like I said, 15 things, and yeah, I've done sales, and I've owned businesses that have done just millions and millions and dollars of pennies and whatever. They've not been super successful, but they've been okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my question:
Sure.
do you like podcasting?
I actually do.
Do you like podcasting?
I do, yeah.
So now we put the video component to it.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be just not that long ago, podcasting was just audio.
Right.
Now there's video casting. Is there a word for that? Is it called video casting?
I have no idea. I have no
Okay.
clue.
I didn't
I
know.
don't either.
Well, see, I just thought I'd interview you for a second because I started going through, and I wish that we could show it. I literally felt so bad of all the stuff, and I thought, you know what, maybe I'll just start interviewing her because there's no way she's going to get to any of this shit that I sent her.
Dude, my next question is
Look at this. Yeah, look at this. Scroll. Oh, you can't even see it on
Good
the
Lord,
camera.
no, yeah.
Yeah.
See.
yeah, I said short bio.
And he sent you a novel.
I responded with, "Will bullet points work?" And she said yes. She didn't know that it was going to be, Roman numeraled.
It's the Tale of Two
There's
Cities.
subsections.
Now this is number 3, part A.
Right. There's little notes at the bottom. Yeah. So actually, I did have a question about
Okay.
this War and Peace that you sent me. Keynote speaker.
I've done it a few times. Yeah.
Okay.
I've done. So I did. I think I averaged. I looked it up. Me and the girl that used to work for me. I think over a 10-year period, I did about 300 seminars or business expos. Now, a lot of those were expos that I would put on, or seminars, lunch and learns that I would put on for business owners. That, get 20, 30 people there.
Okay.
And then there were a handful that I got. I went to Nashville and spoke at a couple of their bigger chamber events. Went to Knoxville a couple times for business organizations. And then I got to speak in Chattanooga. I emceed the American Lung Association's gala 3 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah, that was fun.
Cool.
Yeah, that was really a good fun, good times. And then I got to do a roast. So that was probably my favorite.
Oh, I want to do a roast.
Really?
Okay, so it was.
I want to be roasted. I want to be roasted.
So
Okay.
I think I actually may have
For your
told you-
birthday, we'll roast you.
We'll roast you on the camera though. You got to get everybody in here. Make it a live roast.
Oh, it'll be a live roast.
Ah, Christ.
I did a roast for a guy named Charlie Hunt. Charlie Hunt's an older guy. Well, he sees this now. You're not that old, Charlie, but he knows everybody in Chattanooga.
Isn't he the builder?
No.
No. I'm thinking somebody else.
You're thinking, well, I don't know who. Charlie Hunt is used to be in the billboard business. Now he's in everybody else's business. He is seriously. He's the most connected guy I know. But anyway, so we were roasting Charlie Hunt, who's a friend of mine, and we were raising money for YCAP. It's a program that I like, the YMCA YCAP program.
Okay.
And so it was me, and I can't remember the whole cast. Judge Russell Bean, it was Gerald McCormick, who was a state representative, Zach Wamp. I don't know, there was 6 or 7, 8 of us. And I had to go first. And so I practiced. Of course, I had a few stories about Charlie that I knew, personal, but I went to this website, and it was like the best roast jokes ever. So I just started going through them like, oh, I can make that one work. I can make this one work. I can make that one work. So I'm sitting next to Zach Wamp, and I go first because I'm the least known of all the people on the stage. And they're like, hey, we'll let this guy bomb and loosen everybody up like,
Right.
He's a turd, so everybody else will look good. So Zach gets up, introduces me, and I've known Zach for a while. I've done some work for him before that. So I get up and I start doing it, and the first couple hit it off, right? I'm doing pretty good. Then it starts rolling, and I only got like 6 minutes, 7 minutes. And now I'm in my element. I'm like, you know what? They're laughing. There's 600 people here. I'm knocking it out of the park. And I look over to my left, and Gerald McCormick is going up after me. And he's got a notepad like this yellow one that's right there. And he's doing this. He's shaking his head. He's going, he's marking jokes off. He had gone to the same website I had. And he had picked like 5 or 6 of the same really good jokes.
That's awesome.
And at the end of it, I looked over at him and I said, hey, that sucks, doesn't it, Gerald? That I took your good jokes? And he goes, oh my gosh. And he got up and that's what he said. He goes, well, I'm going to have to ad-lib a little bit on this one. But I felt so good. It was the benefit of going first. I felt so good on that. I'm like, you're welcome, buddy.
That's phenomenal.
That's brilliant.
But yeah, I've done some speaking, and I like doing it. I do them. Usually my topics, if I'm hosting the seminar or I'm going to speak, is either on sales, marketing, or business ownership. And I've got 3 or 4 presentations depending on the focus of the group.
Gotcha.
And I've done it in the past where people will give me a specific topic, and then I'll craft a presentation around it.
Okay.
I love doing them. It's probably one of my favorite things that I do.
So, what would you say the difference between sales and marketing is today?
Well, I say this a lot of times. There are certain words that kind of get used interchangeably. Advertising and marketing. People say, oh, what's your advertising budget or what's your marketing budget?
Right.
And they really don't differentiate the two. Same thing with sales and marketing. I think they work hand in hand. Now, depending on what size company you have, a lot of times you'll have a marketing company and a sales company, and then they loop. They're intersecting circles. So the sales company should help with the marketing, and the marketing company should, contribute to the sales. But I think as a business owner, which is where my niche is, it kind of runs together.
Okay.
The marketing, advertising, those 3 circles are intersected. In the middle part of that is where I think a lot of times business owners get confused. They get confused. Marketing versus advertising versus sales. And so you may have a separate message over here versus over there. And so really you're like 3 separate companies and nobody really knows what you are.
Right.
Instead of sitting down and going, well, how do these 3 link? And so the question of how marketing and sales are working together today is, I think as a business owner, they go hand in hand. They are separate until they're not. And that sounds simple and kind of, a cop-out, but that's just the way it is.
Right. So, sorry. My ear's itching.
So,
can't do that on live. You can't see. That's why I love podcasting right there.
Yeah. No, I can't do that live.
No, well, you can. But everybody goes, that's unprofessional radio. And that is.
Who cares?
But that's the reason I like podcasts. Don't do that on the radio, but you can do it on podcast.
Unprofessional radio. When did radio have to not be fun anymore? Good
2009. I don't know. I just came up with a.
You're actually kind of right. Yeah. So 2008. Were you in the business in 08?
Yeah. Well, I was in the billboard business.
Let me pull up the bio. I can tell you exactly when.
No, when the economy took a shit in 08. You saw. I'm glad I wasn't on his camera at that point.
I blocked it with my hand. My kids never saw me. I'm just saying.
But
it's all good.
When the economy took a dump in 2008, you really saw a steady decline in radio sales. And you also saw companies, the big corporations, specifically Clear Channel, iHeartRadio, whatever, they got hit so hard. And the layoffs were just exponential for the coming years. I mean, when I started at Clear Channel here in Chattanooga, I was maybe the 65th, 66th employee on the payroll.
Yeah.
And when I got laid off in 2011 due to the budget cuts, it was like 25. I mean, it was just cut exponentially when it came to employees. But what people don't understand is radio, you paid to keep our doors open, and we advertise you to keep your doors open. But when you're in a financial crisis like that, you see so many places like a radio station, whatever, dwindle because you're too worried about making sure you're going to survive.
Right.
Well, and 2, they do what they just start making everybody wear more hats. Yeah. Oh, so you're not just the engineer guy now. You're the engineer and remote guy, and you're also the afternoon guy or girl. And I saw the same thing. So
can you track weekends too? Do you mind? That'd be great.
And here's a mop for the bathroom. Thank you.
Well, just clean up after yourself, boys and girls. But anyway, so I started in radio sales in the mid '90s, and I left in 2004 to go start the billboard company that I owned with a partner for a couple years, and I started off with a company called Radio Chattanooga. It was owned by a couple, local, not local, but a handful of people. They had like 8, 9, 10 radio stations, but the local person, the general manager, could make decisions right there at the desk because he was part owner. So he didn't have to send it.
Yes.
He didn't have to send it up the stream. He didn't have to get thumbs up. Then it got bought by Citadel Broadcasting.
Yep.
And then it got bought by Cumulus. And I to this day, what they did to the on-air people is the same thing they were doing to the salespeople, and it's expect more, give less, and if you leave, that's okay. Because we can replace you with somebody that has less, that's less money, and they'll do fine until they get higher expectations, and they'll leave, and we'll replace them again like a Pez dispenser. And the radio in my world, when it started getting that big, the radio lost fun for me. Now I like doing my radio shows now, but I don't work for a radio station.
Right.
But the radio world was a blast.
And there's a rule.
Oh, it was a blast.
There's a rule, like you said, with the Pez machine. You don't learn a salesperson's name. This is kind of like a joke in programming. You don't learn a salesperson's name unless they've been there 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a revolving door. It really is. And it's really sad. And it's a hard business to really be in because they want the prices. I mean, the prices aren't necessarily going down to accommodate any economical issues. If they're doing anything, they're staying steady or going up a little bit to try to compensate for the lack of advertisers that are actually investing in the station.
Now, do you think the lack of advertising had to do with more people advertising on digital, on social media, on...
I think cost. It's the cost of it. I can take somebody's radio budget and half it on Facebook or Google or somewhere else, and do it strictly targeted. And I think at that point, you're realizing the results. Now, that's going to change, too. By the end of 2021, the deficit between traditional media, radio, TV, newspaper, billboards, and digital media is going to be $67.5 billion. That's a projection.
Wow.
That's a massive deficit for what we know as traditional platforms.
I think, though, that's why it's more important if I'm a radio person now, to do it right, to focus on my process more than ever. And here's why. I know people in the radio business because I buy media for some companies now. And they saw money leave, run to digital, run to Facebook, run to Google, run to website, and all that's necessary. The problem is it's not either or. You should be doing both the right way.
Yeah.
But what they're seeing now is because everybody and their brother started doing digital. Every billboard company, every radio company, every TV company, every company, everybody's started saying, hey, we now can do digital. Everybody. And just like with every other media, a lot of them did it wrong. So what a lot of my friends are seeing that are in the TV and radio business and billboard business is that money is starting to come back after a year or two because they're like, yeah, we tried Facebook, didn't really work like we thought. Now we're not leaving Facebook. We're going to keep doing it.
Sure.
But we're going to bring some of it back to traditional radio or TV. And in my world, that's a great opportunity because if the radio rep cares and finds out, let's make a good commercial, let's really put it at the right times, let's charge it. Now all of a sudden, you really can help the client. So when, the attrition happens, you're either not cut or the last to get cut.
Right.
But so many radio reps are, and not so many, there are radio reps out there that just take the money and they run terrible ads and they don't care. And it's just,
oh God.
And then those people go later on, the business owner goes, hey, radio just didn't work for me. And you're like, hey, you didn't do it right, man. And that goes for anything. Facebook. You guys are way more into the digital world than I am on stuff. How many times have you seen people tell you they're spending this much money, but they're not getting results? And then, and you look into it. Well, you're not doing it right.
Right.
You're doing it wrong.
Right.
So money doesn't fix a horrible process.
Right. But knowledge, or working with knowledgeable people who understand.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I could probably hop on there and do stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, yeah, pretty sure I'm doing this wrong.
But that's what business owners do.
Right.
So if Clint Powell, the business owner, again, we just talked about it. I'm wearing 9 hats. So I'm going to do my Facebook. Why? Because it's free. Everybody tells me I should have a Facebook page and it's free. And I'm going to do some stuff. And I don't get the results. And there's no consistency because I don't have time 4 days of the week. Blah, 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 blah. And
we don't know how to schedule stuff out. And the pictures are crap. And and your posts that you're so redundant in your stuff that you're doing all by yourself. Everybody's
Sting.
Just like, oh my God,
here comes Sting or Rebecca, and they say, we want to help you with your digital. And you say, okay, what do you think I should do? And y'all go, Facebook. I'm going to go, Facebook doesn't work.
Right.
Why? Because you did it wrong.
Right.
And so that is why when you circle this conversation all the way back to what we started with on why is it hard for other business owners that don't want to change. The business owners, we can say, don't want to change. It's hard to trust when the people that you're dealing with a lot of times don't put the effort in to figure out how to do it right.
Right.
Now, with all that being said, there are a lot of good reps in Chattanooga. I feel like I'm bashing folks.
No, there really are.
Chattanooga's got some great TV, radio, billboard reps. I've used them all the time. And so if you're with the right one, you'll be fine. But it's a tough world out there if you're going to try to do it all yourself.
Yeah.
It's very true. And everybody talks about, and this will be the last, but everybody talks about almost if you're on the inside of the business, well, the salespeople, they just go out and beat the streets and blah, blah, blah. They don't have to be creative. And that's so wrong.
I disagree.
Because they're writing the copy or they're coming up with at least the conceptual ideas for the copy. What foot are we going to put forward for your business? And they really do. They get, it's a really an unfair playing field inside a radio building, for sure.
Well, I mean, anywhere, though. I mean, salespeople still have that reputation. They're at the bottom of the list right along with politicians. Like, people just don't want to deal with the typical salesman. Snake oil salesman, used car salesman, because you're
this
just getting a hand.
This podcast sucks.
But
I see what you're saying.
Can you take the camera off of me? But I've noticed that things are changing, that it's not that. I'm not selling you, castor oil and telling you that it is going to change your life. That salespeople are actually trying to get a little bit more, and we talked about this before, it's trying to get more personal and, like Sting said, more creative. So when you sit down with somebody, you're just like, so tell me about yourself. Tell me about...
People only do business with you for two reasons. You either fix a problem or you make them feel good.
Right.
That's it. There's no other in between. You're either fixing a problem they have or you're making them feel a certain way. That's the only reason. And if you're having a conversation with the client and their goal is to either figure out what the problem is or what you want to feel, then I can come up with a solution. And what you said a minute ago, Sting, is that is exactly when a salesperson is their best. The good creative salespeople are the ones that's been in it for 10, 12, 15 years.
Absolutely. For
the most part.
Right.
There are order takers out there that find the right industry, but for the most part, a really creative salesperson that's going to go, I'm going to go work with the on-air people. I'm going to work with this. I'm going to write this script. I'm going to get input from my manager. I'm going to talk to the client. Those kind of people that invest in this working because they know that if I can be a one-time sale, but really that's not what I want. I want that relationship we talked about. And so that's to me is where it starts.
And you'd be surprised how much I cherished I'd still cherish it to this day, being a on-air personality, for a salesperson to walk into my studio. I'm on the air, I'm the only one in there, but if that on-air light is not turned on, walk in, ask me a question. How do you think this is going to work? How do you think that's going to work? Is this a good idea? Is that a bad idea promotional wise? I love that. I love it.
Yeah, but the best stories in radio.
Oh, are we going to go there?
We can go there.
So as a new rep, I was young because I'm not young anymore, but I had tons of energy. And so I was like full of ideas, right? My creative brain was going over, just working overtime. So I a lot of times I looked at the light, and to be honest, I'd be cool. I'm not going to go in there, and I'm not going to talk to Jeff Styles. I'm not going to bug Jammer, or I'm not going to go in there and mess around with, JR or Quake, all those guys, Dr. B. No. But then sometimes, I didn't give a damn if the light was on. I would go in and do this, and this is what they love if they're watching this. Have a piece of paper going, hey, call me when you get off the air, and they're in the middle of it, and you do this. You ready for this? You open it up, and you go.
Yep.
And their eyes look at you like, I'll eat your kids, dude. I will take your soul like the one of the Riddick movies, and I'll put it in my bag, and I'll pull it out at night and just smack your soul around. And I would look at them, and then they'd get off the air, and I'd be like, hey, man, what's up? Hey, if you do that again, I'm throwing something at you. It was so much fun. The best arguments I ever saw were either on car lots, because I grew up with my dad working on car lots, or radio. Radio is famous for.
You have to be a sick son of a bitch to work in radio, period.
Nowadays, I don't think you can, because the HR. You can't be. Now, I'm sure that happens.
It depends on who you're with.
Yeah.
So where I'm at now, we have a group of, and it feels so weird with me saying this, but I've been in the business this is my 16th year that I've been on the air.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God, you are getting old.
I was 15 when I got or 16, I'm sorry, when I got my first radio gig. So we have vets, right, that saw it. Some saw it in the glory days back in the 90s before it really kind of went to shit. But I broke in 2006, and it was still a fun business.
Yeah.
Everything was great. And, 2005. But either way. So we have that kind of mentality, and there's not that many youngsters in the business where we're at now. So we kind of still can have that gross, prepubescent gutter humor, just that nasty, I'm a teenager.
I've seen so I'm just trying to think of which friend do I want to totally throw completely under the bus.
I'll throw one under the bus real quick.
No, you go for it first. I don't know if I'm going to do it. It's so much fun.
When I was at US 101, and if he watches this, I'm so sorry, Adam, I love you. You're dumb as a brick, but I love you. We had a guy named Adam. Adam was about 6'8", and he was our promotions assistant. So he would go out and, put up banners and stuff before the events and all that good shit. Well, Sammy George, who is a sweetheart of a dude, man, ex-military, he'd break his foot off in your ass when he needed to, but most of the time he was just a way cool dude. So we were doing the St. Jude Radiothon, and we were all outside in front of the US 101 studios, and we had the drive-through set up, and somebody had parked the US 101 big dually F350 out in the lawn. Very sunny day, absolutely gorgeous, and Sammy walks out, and Adam was the one that had parked the truck.
Right.
And so Sammy just decides he's got a hair up his ass, he's going to screw with Adam. Walks outside, Adam's standing there with a bucket in his hand collecting money.
Yeah, right over
Clint's
there,
having
Clint.
a terrible time over here. That chair just...
Stupid chairs. So anyway, Sammy George, go back to foots and asses and let me work on my chair. Yeah.
But anyway, so Sammy walks outside and decides that he just wants to screw with Adam. So Adam, hey man, did you park the truck there? Yeah, Sammy, that's where we're supposed to park it for the event. Well, I know that's what we normally do, but there's a reflection coming off the bumper, and it blinded somebody driving down Old Lee Highway, and they almost wrecked. We just got a call. Go move the truck. So Adam goes out, moves the truck, completely different side of the yard. 20 minutes later, here comes Sammy out again. Damn it, Adam, I told you to move the truck. Sammy, I moved it's on the opposite side of the yard. He's like, no, I just got another call in my office because somebody got by. Move the truck. So here we go. We move it to the middle of the yard now. Okay, great. 20 minutes later, here comes Dex. Because Sammy went and recruited Dex. Adam, you stupid son of a bitch. Did you park the truck right there? We're getting phone calls in the studio because the glare off the truck. It went on 5-6 different people. Adam moved that truck 30 damn times during the course of that day, and it was absolutely phenomenal. It was so good. That was the same radiothon that I was doing the last stretch and begging for donations, and I'm out there and I'm like almost crying because those things will mess with you. If you ever do one, it's an emotionally draining 2 days, but I'm out there and I'm pushing last stretch, and my program director throws a football and hits me right in the crotch. Live on the air. And it's just like, these kids, St. Jude, and it was, what else do you do? Back to you guys in the studio. But yeah, man, that's the kind of stupid juvenile stuff that happens. Now go ahead, throw somebody under the bus.
Well, no, I'm throwing him under the bus, but he was a buddy of mine. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. I've got a couple that may come out because we got a couple more minutes. It's your podcast.
Yeah, we got a few more minutes.
Okay, so do y'all remember a guy that used to be on the radio? He was a good buddy of mine. His name was Wally Wachowski.
Wally Wachowski, yeah.
Okay, so Wally, for those who may not know, was this giant dude. He was like 6'8". He was huge. 400 pounds. Yeah. One of the funniest human beings I ever met on planet Earth, and one of the sweetest human beings I ever met on planet Earth. Mm-hmm. So, but he did a show from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. every day called The Village Idiots, him and a buddy of JR.
Yep.
Okay, well, so Wally stuttered.
Okay.
And Wally didn't have kind of a stutter. Wally stuttered. And he used to tell people, I don't know how I make money at this, but he was so good, and him and JR's chemistry was so great. So he's one of those guys that I'd listened to for a long time. I started working in the 90s. Now I'm selling the show, and I'm like, this is killer. I became good friends with him. So I have another buddy that I played this little football league. Shout out to Primetime Football. Anyway, so I had this buddy that owned back in the day, owned a pager company. Thank you very little, out on Highway 58.
Yowza.
So he's an African American buddy of mine, or as we like to call everybody back when I grew up, he was a black guy.
Wow.
He's one of my good buddies. He's the biggest defensive back in planet Earth. His name's Gary Cooper. If you're out there, what's up, Gary? So anyway, so Gary said, I'm going to spend some money with Clint in advertising because I was sales. I'd do a good cold call, call your friends first. I'm like, hey, dude, you ought to spend money over here with talk radio. I'm going to do this for you. He goes, what do you got? I said, I'll bring a celebrity remote. At that time, we would bring out a celebrity. He would call in during Jeff Styles, Fred the Show, and we're allowed to mention names, right? I mean radio shows.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's too late now.
Yeah, no kidding.
30 minutes later. Anyway.
Let's just not talk
By
about
the
where
way,
I
is it
currently
okay?
work.
Right.
Otherwise, we're good.
So anyway, so Wally was going to get off there at 10, go out there at 10:30, and for the next 2 hours, every 15, 20 minutes, he's going to call into Jeff Styles and goes, hey, everybody, this is Wally Wachowski. Come out here at Satellite Page on Highway 58. Come out here and get a special of the day. I had food. I had pizza coming. Again, did I mention that my buddy is black?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Well, Wally was just famous for starting trouble on the radio. And he would start trouble. I'm telling you, this is.
I don't know where this is going.
This is in the late '90s, early 2000s. He could not do it now. He just couldn't do it. And I did anyway. So he goes on the radio, and I told him. Here's what I told him when I went on. I said, "Listen, dude, my buddy's spending some good hard-earned money with me. He's never done radio like this before. So when you go out there, let's kill it. Promote it when you go on with JR. I'm going to be out there right now, whatever." And I said, "Oh, and by the way, just so you know." He's a black guy. He's never spent money with talk radio because talk radio a lot of times is predominantly a Caucasian listener. Mm-hmm. So I really want this to work because first of all, I don't want him to waste his money.
Right.
Sure.
He's a buddy. Mm-hmm. Second of all, I want him to be a good client. I need the money.
Right.
I got 2 kids at the time. He goes on. He goes, I got you, buddy. I'm like, great. So I'm in the green room, got my cup of coffee. I'm about to hear Wally Wachowski and JR pump this celebrity remote up. And Wally Wachowski, this is in the fall. We're getting the holiday season, right? Wally Wachowski comes on the air and goes, JR does the intro, and Wally goes, so what's going on, Wally? What do you get on your mind today? And Wally goes, well, what the hell's with Kwanzaa? What? Huh? What? No. I'm sorry. What? And I'm literally counting my comments. Nope. I'm directing 747s onto the. No. And he looks around at me and smiles, and for the next 20 minutes just goes, I don't understand. And he just my phone. We had cell phones that were the size of this water bottle. My phone is blowing up, and I see it's Gary calling me because he's listening. I told him, listen to him promote your place, because he had 3 stores at the time, 2 or 3. And so all of a sudden I hear over the intercom, because I'm not answering the phone. I'm like trying to get Wally, get out here when you're off. Get out here when you're off. And all of a sudden I hear over the intercom, Clint Powell, you have a call on line 1. Like, yeah, I bet I do. Yeah. So I get on the phone, and my buddy's like, hey, what the hell are you people? I'm like, no, we're good. Trust me. He goes, dude. I said, trust me. He goes, I got people. I said, trust. He goes, I don't trust you. All right. So Wally gets off. I climb his 6'8" frame verbally up one side. I'm carving meat off him, dude, to store for winter. So anyway, we get out there, and I'm out there. I am sweating bullets. My buddy, he's not even talking to him. He's looking at me like, mm-hmm. We're out there for 30 minutes. The parking lot is packed.
Nice.
Packed. Gary comes over to me, and he goes, I've never sold this many pagers. He goes, that dude can talk about what he wants to all the time. It's all about green. Him and Wally became friends because he knew that Wally didn't mean nothing by it. He told him, he goes, I was giving Clint grief. He was so worried. And Gary goes, dude. So they became friends. We ended up doing like 5 remotes out there. He was a client for a year and a half, and it worked out great. Wow. But Wally, to give me shit on radio.
That's hilarious.
I just wish I could have had the video things back in the day when he goes, so what's up, Wally? And he goes, what the hell's up with Kwanzaa? And he turns and looks at me. Oh, God. And all my buddies were in the green room looking at me like, going, dude, this is on you. They scattered.
Man, no, that's hilarious.
That's so funny.
And you're
That
right. You
was
can't.
a little memory lane
anymore.
there.
Oh, gosh.
But one thing that you also said that that I just found, like, ping, celebrity remotes.
Oh, yeah.
Because this was back when radio was fun enough, and people actually looked at us like we meant something.
Oh,
Now it's
yeah.
just- and you meet listeners now, but you meet them in the weirdest places.
What do you mean?
I was at Disney with my
That was
family.
a little odd, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I was at Disney
I
with my
wasn't sure where he
family,
was going with that one.
and I am standing in line to ride the Toy Story ride at MGM at Disney, and I hear, Josh. Nobody calls me Josh.
Right.
That's my radio name. So I turn around. Hey, man, listen to you every morning. Like, what? Yeah, I listen to you every morning. What are you doing down here? Like, trying to escape you guys and hang out with my family for a minute. But, you know, you can go out and do a remote, and people just do not come anymore.
No, it's almost like open houses for realtors. Unless
Yeah,
it's a
it's just-
perfect fit, it's kind of it can be a little bit of a waste of time.
But the salesperson's always like, hey, I picked up 10 Little Caesars pizzas. And I was like, great, my kid's going to eat pizza for 2
9
weeks.
of them.
Right.
It's going to be phenomenal.
No, I remember my dad taking us to, like, they have these big open houses at the radio station where we lived. And it was like,
Go in, tour the studio.
we had face painting and toured the studio, and they'd bring, you know, bands in, so, and cotton candy or funnel cake. Like, there was just like this little tiny mini fair, but
In the radio station
highway,
parking lot,
but the highway was packed. Like, it turned down to a 2-lane was 1 lane because people were parking on both sides of the road. And then, and this, I mean, I had to have been, I don't know, 7, 8 years old. And
So
then,
this was like WKRP in Cincinnati days.
oh yeah,
But see,
absolutely.
Back when it was awesome.
well,
But-
radio, I think radio was one of the original medias where engagement. Nowadays they measure engagement on Facebook, right?
Right.
Likes
Yeah.
and comments. But radio used to be the engagement media.
Yeah.
You know, the KZ
Yeah.
Wings and all this stuff. And I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No,
You were
that's
telling-
okay. But I was gonna say, like, I had, I don't know, I don't even know what year it was, but I'm an adult, I have a child, whatever, and my dad's like, hey, Johnny Lang's playing down at the radio station. Can you get off of work and we'll just go listen to him? We were the only 2 people who showed up.
Yeah.
And here I was used to, like, I'm like, all right, where are we going to park? Am I going to get back to work on time? We were the only ones there.
Yeah, it was we did some big remotes for places. I did one out at Ram Tool and Supply off of Amnicola, and the first year we did it, it was so big. I kid you not, the police department came, and they gave us a police officer. We had thousands of people come through that thing.
Oh, wow.
It was an all-day event. But anyway, it just over the 3-4 years after that, it kind of diminishing returns. And radio was in my world, the engagement media. Before we started measuring it on social media, you had just. You grew up in Jersey. How long you been
Yeah.
in Chattanooga?
5 years.
No, you wouldn't. And you're too young. So let me they're not even here. Okay, so for everybody out here that's old like me, you'll remember KZ106 had the studio in the sky.
I remember the studio in the sky. It was the
no, you don't.
the lift.
No.
Oh, you're
See?
talking about the billboard
See?
studio in the sky on Brainerd.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, really? I just gave you the location, bro.
Don't even call that the studio in the sky. The billboard on Brainerd, close to
Just
Krispy
shush
Kreme.
you.
Yes.
I'm not even looking at him. See me? Me and
Yeah.
you. It's me and you. They would put buckets and put them. Listen, if you want some good stories, get the guys and girls that were up on the studio in the sky and ask them what was in those buckets that they kept pulling up to them. Those were the days, man.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the days.
Oh, well, I've heard. So there used to be a show called Neon Friday Nights they used to do on US 101 every Friday night, 9 o'clock. It was Dave and Dex and the Brother Man. And Brother was a assistant fire chief at Chattanooga Fire, and he was a white guy. But he would do a Richard Pryor impression, and everybody thought he was a black guy. And they would actually sell remotes for Brother to come out and host, and he would have to go behind a pallet
So that
of
nobody
something
could see
and
him?
record the break. And then when he was done, he would walk around and shop like a
that's
normal
hilarious.
customer.
That's hilarious.
funny.
But it was sponsored by Budweiser, and they had hand trucks every Friday night, stacked full of cases of Budweiser, pop them in the elevator, go up to the top of the Osborne building, straight into the studio, just sit there, have some beer, hang out, have some fun.
Friday nights.
You can't do it anymore. You can't.
Am I allowed to plug podcasts I have coming up?
Go for it.
So I've got a series coming up starting, it'll probably start next week. It'll take about 5 weeks, but there are 4 releases. So on one of them, and it's about media in Chattanooga, kind of what we're doing right here.
Mm-hmm.
So on one of them, the first one is Cindy Sexton with Kim Chapman, Channel 3 and Channel 9,
Right.
the two of the longest anchors in Chattanooga, but not only TV, but also from the woman's perspective, getting into that 25, 30 years ago. The next one I've got coming up is focused on talk radio, how it's kind of changed. Chattanooga, Dale Deason, Gary Mack, and Jeff Stiles, all in the same room.
Great. Yep.
The one after that is TV in Chattanooga, Daryl Patterson, David Carroll, and Chip Chapman.
Oh, and David Carroll is a freaking wealth of knowledge. That guy's brilliant.
I cannot wait for that one. And then the third one is going to talk about music in Chattanooga. I got Scott Chase and Keith Landecker coming on.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about how music has changed in the radio world. So those are going to be 4 podcasts coming out through during the break over the next 5 weeks.
Nice.
That is going to be just full of stories like what we're talking about right now.
So where can people find During the Break?
DuringTheBreakPodcast.com or any of your platform, listening platforms. Same place, DayFirePodcast.com, TheSingleLifePodcast.com. And then if you want marketing about business, the MarketingMixRadio.com, that shows, it's been around for almost 7 years. So, and we have people on every week. It airs 8 o'clock on Sundays, and I'm allowed to tell the station.
Yeah, 98 on the Lake, right?
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And
WLND.
That's live. So are any of these live call-in, or if somebody has a specific marketing question or singles question, or they want to know about that retro or the fitted van that I was listening to.
Oh, the Dayfire one, yeah.
Yes. All of a sudden now, I just don't want to live in a house anymore.
No, those vans are bad. We actually did one today, me and Dawson. He brought his van in, and he just got it back from getting upgraded.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, it's literally like a James Bond van. Hey, push that button. I'm like, what the heck? All of a sudden,
so awesome.
Is somebody massaging my butt? How did that? What is that feature in the van? They can send messages through Facebook. A lot of questions get sent that way.
Okay.
I do a live radio show, but I co-host it. It's called The Buyer's Market. It's about to do a little bit of a brand change, but that's on Mondays on Talk Radio, and it's about life and buying houses. But that's the only live call-in show I do. The rest of them are on messages through Facebook and social media and the such.
Gotcha.
And the such.
Very cool. Very cool.
So look at this, Rebecca. I'm gonna test you right now. You ready?
Oh,
I want you to look at the
crap.
screen. Where can they find us?
Oh, you can find us on TuneIn. Don't know what that one is.
That would be Google Podcast.
Spotify, Google Podcast, Facebook, not a clue.
Apple Podcast.
LogicallyEmotional.com, YouTube, Instagram, nope,
Stitcher.
and iHeartRadio.
All right, so it's going to take some more grooming, but you're getting there. Yeah, of course, TuneIn Radio with the Alexa feature. Hey, Alexa, let me hear Logically Emotional. And ta-da, Rebecca's sultry voice will be there.
Oh, yes, this...
You can
this
do that.
Voice.
You can find During the Break with on your iPhone if you just ask, hey, during the break.
Hey, Siri, give me some During the Break.
Yeah,
Nice,
you can do it.
nice.
And you got to answer
I've
that
got
question.
a Bixby.
Let's check out the iTunes store.
There we go.
You need to have a better answer to that question. When he tested you, here's what you do, though. You're in charge. This is your stinking podcast.
Go ahead. Wait, ask me the question again.
Where can they find you, Rebecca?
On every single podcast platform out there.
Very good.
And you can watch us on YouTube because we have video.
Yeah.
Or just say to him, you know what? That's such a simple question, Sting. Why don't you give the answer?
I can do that. Tune in with Alexa, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Of course, you can find us anytime at LogicallyEmotionalPodcast.com. Listen to the episodes there, and you can also ask questions there as well.
Yes, so don't be afraid to send us an email if you have any questions about anything. It doesn't matter. Ask. We'll answer it. We'll fudge our answers, or we'll bring an expert in.
Absolutely.
And you can reach out to us on social media. We got Instagram and Facebook.
Yep.
Yeah.
And another thing I want to do, and Clint and I talked about this after you had left that day we had the meeting, but I want to do the podcast of podcasts.
Yes.
Here in Chattanooga.
fun.
So bring in some hosts, you and me and Clint, and a couple other podcast hosts here in town, and we'll be doing that too.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great show.
I think it'd be a whole lot of fun. Yeah.
So not only follow us to stay updated on what's going on, but follow Clint because he's got some really cool guests on and some really great information. And then you're going to be able to see all of us just, winging it and having fun.
Thank y'all for inviting me on, by the way.
Oh, dude, thank you for coming in.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
I love the studio.
Always a blast.
All right. So I'm Rebecca, and that's Sting. And
Hi.
Wait.
Are you going to do it?
Thanks.
We'll see you next time on Logically Emotional. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget, you can find the latest shows online and on demand wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And you can find Logically Emotional on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You've been listening to Logically Emotional. Copyright 2020, Terminal 57 Inc. All rights reserved.